Folding chairs. 200 of them, maybe more, lined up under fluorescent gym lights that hum just loud enough to notice. Crepe paper streamers sag from the basketball hoops. Somewhere behind a felt curtain, 8-year-olds whisper their lines to themselves one more time. This is the Millbrook Elementary Auditorium, in a town so small the diner closes before the school does. Rows of parents shift in cold metal seats, phones already up, ready to record. One seat, third row, aisle side, stays empty the whole night. That seat was supposed to be mine. I'm Wesleyn. I run the overnight shift at the Coastal Freight Warehouse outside Millbrook, Maine, and on the night my daughter took that stage, I was 3 miles away signing off on a cycle count that wouldn't balance. 40 pallets short, a dock door that wouldn't seal against the wind coming off the bay. My supervisor called in sick and left me the whole floor, the whole shift, the whole responsibility. And I made a choice I've replayed every night since. I chose the floor. Bethany used to say I ran that warehouse like it was my second family. She wasn't wrong, and for years that was fine. She was the one who showed up to everything, the recitals, the parent-teacher nights, the school plays. I worked, she attended, and somehow the math always worked out. Then she got sick. Then she wasn't there anymore. Then the math stopped working at all. Sutton is 7 now. She's got her mother's stubborn chin and my terrible handwriting, and for 3 weeks straight she'd been rehearsing a speech for the spring play, some kind of narrator role where each kid stood up and said something about a person that mattered to them. She'd practiced it in the kitchen, she'd practiced it in the truck. She never once told me what she was going to say. "You're coming, right?" she asked me that morning, cereal halfway to her mouth, eyes doing that thing where they don't quite look at you because they're scared of the answer. "I'm gonna try," I said. Even as I said it, some part of me already knew. By 4 that afternoon, my supervisor's number lit up my phone. Sick, bad sick, can't drive himself to urgent care sick. I stood in my kitchen holding that phone like it weighed 40 pounds, and I looked at the folded school program on the counter. Sutton had circled my name on it that morning, right there next to Parent Volunteer, row 3, in blue crayon, like she needed to remind me where I was supposed to sit. I called the school office instead of walking out the door. "Can someone film it?" I asked the woman who answered, voice too calm for what I was actually feeling. "For my daughter, Sutton, in 2nd grade. I have a shift, I can't leave." There was a pause, then, "I'll see what I can do." I went to work. I stood on a warehouse floor at 11 o'clock at night, counting pallets under sodium lights, while 3 miles away my daughter stood under a spotlight and said words I wouldn't hear for 2 more days. Pruitt directed the play, ran it the way he ran everything at that school. Tight, controlling, allergic to anything unscripted. I'd met him twice before, both times at pickup, both times with that particular smile people give you when they've already decided what kind of father you are. He noticed the empty seat. Of course he did. Sutton told me later, much later, when she was ready to talk about it, that right before she walked on, Pruitt crouched down next to her backstage and said loud enough for the other kids to hear, "Well, looks like it's just you up there tonight, kiddo. No dad in the crowd." Not cruel, exactly. Worse than cruel. Careless. The kind of comment a grown man makes without weighing what it costs a 7-year-old holding a folded index card with her whole heart written on it. She didn't cry. She told me that part with something like pride in her voice. She just nodded and walked out anyway. 2 nights after the play, I still hadn't heard anything from the school about that video. I figured it got lost in the shuffle, the way things do in a building run by people juggling 40 kids and 1 aging camcorder. Then, Sutton came into the kitchen holding my old phone, the one I'd handed down to her for games and cartoons, and set it on the counter without a word. "I made you something," she said. She recorded it herself, propped the phone against a stack of hymnals in the front pew, hit record before she went backstage, and left it running the entire show, hoping, I think, that if the school forgot, she wouldn't have to. I sat down at the kitchen table that night, put in earbuds so the warehouse-tired part of my brain wouldn't have an excuse to drift, and pressed play. The video opens shaky, tilted, half a shoulder blocking the frame, until some other parent nudges the phone straight. Kids file across the stage in construction paper costumes. Then Sutton walks out, small, a little unsteady in her borrowed shoes, and the gym goes quiet in that particular way rooms go quiet for children. She unfolds her index card, doesn't look at it once. "My speech is about someone who isn't here tonight," she says, and her voice doesn't shake, not even a little, because I know is listening anyway, because he always listens, even when he's tired, even when he's far away doing a job that keeps our lights on. The camera catches Pruitt off to the side, arms crossed, face changing. "My dad works nights so I can have days," Sutton says. "He missed my play because a truck full of stuff for other people's kids needed to get where it was going. He picked it up before his shift, and he came home smelling like diesel and cold air, and he always asks how it went, even at midnight, even when he can barely keep his eyes open." Someone in the crowd makes a small sound, not quite a sob, the kind of sound a rune makes when it recognizes something true. "My mom isn't here either," Sutton goes on, steadier now, like she's climbing towards something. "But I think about her every time my dad stays up late helping me with homework, because he does the bedtime stories in her voice now, the funny one, the one that makes the wolf sound like he has a cold. He learned that for me. He didn't have to." I had to stop the video there, just for a second, just to breathe. Here's the part I didn't expect, the part Sutton had kept folded up tighter than that program on my kitchen counter, the one still sitting there with my name circled in blue crayon, like a promise she wasn't ready to give up on. She looked straight at the camera, straight at me, 3 miles and 2 days away. "Mr. Pruitt said it's just me up here tonight," she said, and the gym went dead silent, the kind of silent that has weight to it. "My dad is the reason I know what love looks like when nobody's clapping for it. He doesn't do this for applause. He does it because that's what dads do when the person they married isn't around to do it with them anymore." Pruitt's face, caught in the frame's edge, had gone somewhere between confused and ashamed. "So this speech isn't for the audience," Sutton finished, folding her card back up like she'd rehearsed even that. "Dad, if you're watching this later, I know you are, I wasn't up here alone. You were the whole reason I had something to say." The gym erupted. Not polite applause, real applause, the kind that goes on a beat too long because nobody wants to be the first to stop. I sat at my kitchen table, with my hands pressed flat against my face, and Sutton stood in the doorway watching me, watch her, waiting to see if she'd done the right thing. "Was it okay," she asked, "that I said all that?" "Come here," was all I could get out. I found out later, from another parent who'd been 3 rows back, that Pruitt approached Sutton after the curtain call, crouched down again, the way he had before the show, except this time his voice didn't carry the same careless edge. "I didn't know your dad worked nights. I'm sorry for what I said." Sutton, apparently, just shrugged, the way kids do when they've already moved past something adults are still stuck on. He didn't miss it, he just watched it later. That's different. I ran into Pruitt myself the following week at the grocery store on Route 9. He stopped his cart, cleared his throat like the words had to fight their way out. "Your daughter set me straight. Wanted you to know I heard her." I nodded, didn't say much back, not out of coldness, just because some apologies don't need an audience either. He'd learned something a 7-year-old had to teach him, and that was between the two of them now. That folded program still sits on my counter, my name circled in blue crayon, a little smudged now from being picked up and put down so many times. I keep meaning to frame it. I think I finally will. I watched that recording 4 more times before I went back to work that week. Each time, I noticed something new. The way Sutton's hand stopped shaking halfway through. The way the gym leaned forward instead of back. The way even Pruitt, off to the side, had started clapping before he seemed to realize he was doing it. She hadn't performed a speech that night. She'd built a bridge across an empty seat and dared the whole room to walk it with her. I wasn't backstage that night. Not really, not in the room. But watching that recording, earbuds in, kitchen light low, Sutton curled up asleep against my shoulder by the second replay, I felt like I finally was. Like I'd been standing in the wings the whole time, just 2 days behind everyone else, hearing the applause land exactly where it was supposed to. Somewhere out there, I like to think Bethany heard it too. Not late, right on time. If you want to know what Sutton said the next time she took that stage, the one where I didn't miss a single word, that's a different story. That one's called The Program with Her Name Circled.